And he spoke, and this is one of the main things Gurudev spoke about. He spoke about the Prem Tattva, the truth of divine love, and what Mahaprabhu came to give, Priti Dharma, love and affection for one and all. He spoke about the Ashraya, the Vishaya, and the Priti Dharma, the object of love, abode of love, and love and affection for one and all. And that love and affection for one and all, that Priti Dharma, is the mood and process of Mahaprabhu. And he said to be able to do that properly, one must have love and affection for Sri Krishna. Then he'll have love and affection for Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he will have love and affection for every living entity. But because we don't have that, we only see my group, my little family, my little group, my little sangha, my little temple, my temples, but we don't see the totality of all things. Because we do not have that love and affection for one and all. Therefore we become party spirit, sectarianists, etc. And in the words of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the true Sri Gauranga Samaj cannot manifest. Because there is no party spirit, there's no sectarianism, nothing in the true mission of Mahaprabhu. So, number 62, he never abandoned the service his spiritual master requested of him. Translate the books from English to Oriya. Build that temple. Train and make disciples. And it is a fact that sadhus and acharyas from different sampradayas and different branches of our sampradaya would come to see him, many paying full dandavats to Srila Gauragovinda Swami, in the hot dust of the Orissa landscape. Many came, and many could see, and many spoke about him. Charya from Sri Rangam, 1972, he sent a whole busload of sannyasis and brahmacharis up to see Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj wasn't there, Guru Maharaj was off in America. But they came to see him. Where's Gauragovinda Swami? He's not here. Oh. And that lead sannyasi that came to see Guru Maharaj in 1972, he's now the Acharya in Sri Rangam. Right? He's now the Acharya. He came to see Gurudev. Yeah, they were coming from all over. They knew, everyone knew. Outside of ISKCON, everyone knew. Inside of Orissa, everyone knew. And outside of ISKCON, everyone knew. But inside ISKCON, not many. And I'll say this, and people will get offended by this statement, but Gurudev said to me, when I did the original interviews for the life story, he said, the envy towards me began when I first set foot on the Raman Reti land, ISKCON Raman Reti land in Vrindavan. So yeah. Number 64, he was a friend of one and all, and he was. I even saw Guru Maharaj, people that worked so hard against Gurudev, his godbrothers, they would come and Guru Maharaj would be all happy to see them.
Embrace them.
Embrace them. And I just turn around and go, oh, I can't look at this, I just can't do it. You
know? I was right next to him when he did that.
I can't do it, I can't look at this, it's just... These people were so horrible to Gurudev, and Guru Maharaj would be happy to see them because he had no envy, and he had no envy, didn't hate anyone. Number 65, he translated almost every single book his spiritual master Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada had written into the Oriya language. No technology was used whatsoever for translation work. It was all done by hand with pen and paper. This in itself is an amazing feat. No dictaphone, no electronic typewriter, no computer, no nothing. Pen and paper. You try doing it. Try one purport and writing it out by hand. Then try another one, see how far you get. And Guru Maharaj did it for hours every day. He lived in a small thatched hut the entire time while collecting money, building and later maintaining the massive Krishna Balaram temple which Srila Prabhupada founded. So all the money Guru Maharaj collected, he still lived in a hut, and all the money went to build a temple and other temples and print books. Not 1 cent was used for anything else. Guru Maharaj didn't have a car. He didn't pay for any cars. He drove in that old Jeep. That thing was a bomb. Chaitanya Chandra's got that now. Still a bomb.
Still going.
Still going. Oh well, it's Prasad. It's Guru Maharaj's Prasad, right? And Guru Maharaj went in that van, in that Jeep, that bomb, with the Acharya from Sri Rangam. They were going places and they were both in there. It was rusting out. You could say, oh, it's terrible. Anyway, Guru Maharaj wouldn't use 1 cent. In fact, Guru Maharaj worked out that he could eat 50 grams of rice, 30 grams of dal, 2 or 3 chapatis and a bit of chana, which is unpressed curd. And that's it. That's all I need. The rest of the money, put to construction, build temple, print books. And I remember Gokul Das, he said to me, because they used to go and collect for the temple, and they used to sometimes borrow the airfare. And Gokul came to me and said, I thought Chaitanya Chandra was hard to get money out of. I tried to borrow the airfare off Guru Maharaj. Oh my God, he said it was much harder. Yeah, Guru Maharaj just wouldn't waste a cent, not 1 cent.
Or even a piece of paper.
Say that again?
When I gave my name for initiation, he cut it in half so I wouldn't waste paper.
Yeah, he just didn't waste anything. There was no money. There was no, $2,000 gold rimmed sunglasses and rings and $500 a night staying in fancy apartments in resorts. They put Guru Maharaj in a hotel in India, and Krishnananda told me, and he said they went there and the bathroom was 2 inches of water. So Guru Maharaj had to walk through this water to go to the toilet. And Krishnananda said, no, I can't deal with this. So he got Guru Maharaj out and put him in a decent hotel, and Krishnananda paid for it, but he said he couldn't have Guru Maharaj stay there. It was pathetic.
They used to put Gurudev in such a bad hotel.
Oh, horrible place. Guru Maharaj just used to wear it. He just okay. That's what Krishna's provided. It was ridiculous until they realised we should put him in a bit of a better room. Yeah. But Guru Maharaj was very tolerant. He was very tolerant, very tolerant. He didn't waste any money. He didn't go sightseeing usually. He didn't really. In 1990, when he came to Australia, he wanted to see a kangaroo. So they took him to see a kangaroo. He looked at it for a few minutes and said, okay, let's go. But he didn't really do that sort of thing much, So he lived in that small hut. Considering when they built the guest house, they built a big room for him in the guest house, but Guru Maharaj wouldn't stay in it. He said, Prabhupada stayed in this hut. I'll build this hut. I'm here. Prabhupada's there. That's it. I'm not moving. Now this is an approximation, number 67. Gurudev spoke 10 to 15,000 hours of lectures in Oriya and English and sometimes in Hindi. Now, how I came to that amount was, Guru Maharaj was giving lectures in Orissa from 1975, 76, started speaking, right? And at whatever villages would come, he'd give a class. And he was giving morning and evening, and sometimes he was giving morning, middle of the day and evening, right? And then by the time we all got there, all the Westerners started coming, the classes were going 2, 3, 4 hours. And then it'd be an hour darshan in the evening. So when you add it all up, I've underscored it quite a bit. 10 to 15,000 hours of speaking. It's not all recorded, but it's all recorded in the Transcendental Ether, but it's not recorded on tape, mate, a lot of that, but yeah.
Well, he got it nearly to the 10th canto. So how many verses he spoke on, you work that out. And Chaitanya.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's given a lot of classes.
You just
Spoke
can't-
a lot of, and not just, Gurudev did not give a class to try and fill in the time. Oh, I've got another 5 or 10 minutes or another 20. Can you speak a bit longer, Swamiji? You didn't have to do that. Gurudev said the first time he went to America, they said to him in one temple, Swamiji, you've got 15 minutes for class. And Gurudev said, my introduction to the Bhagavatam is longer than that. Just my introduction to the Bhagavatam. And then he spoke in America on how, what did he say? What was the class? No time to hear the Bhagavatam. Gave that class. No time to hear the Bhagavatam. And then as a frog in the well, you say, oh, where does that story come from? Anyway, can you tell me where it is? They bring up different ideas. I said, well, where is it? Can you please tell me? Very humble, you know, he didn't sort of... But he'd studied 4 Vedas, Upanishads, all the Puranas, knew the Bhagavatam backwards. He knew the books of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada better than anyone in the International Society of Krishna Consciousness because he was translating them every day. And not just translating where he was translating from, he was ahead in the classes, so he was translating 2 lots, where he was speaking from and the actual book that was being printed.
And the previous acharyas, what they've...
Oh yeah, I realise that, but I'm just saying, just in the books of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he knew better than anyone in ISKCON. And they were telling him, where is this in the books of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada? Yeah, brother, you know, it's not in the books of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, it's in the books of, it's in the Vishnu Purana. In the Vishnu Purana, all the avatars are listed and what they do. The 10 main avatars, you know, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, etc. And all about them, and deep detail. A lot of detail. Because I haven't studied that book, but obviously that's what you've said can't exist because I haven't read it. This is the frog in the well. Frog in the well means he lives in a well and he thinks there's nothing outside this well. Then a frog that's been to the ocean comes and says, I've seen something bigger than your well. And the frog says, that's not possible. He says, how much bigger is it? Is it double the size? He says, yeah, a bit bigger than double. He says, it's like triple the size, yeah, bigger than that, 10 bigger. Oh, not possible. And he says, it's enormous. Your well is like this, and the ocean is like that. And the ocean of the Siddhanta is enormous. In fact, in the Tathasandarbha, Jiva Goswami says there's 1,130 branches of the Vedas. He says, and at the time he wrote, which is approximately 500 years ago, he said, existing now is only 30 branches, and still that is more branches than you could go through in one lifetime. And it's not in these books, so how can that story exist? How can that information exist? Because you've not studied, you become the frog in the well. And then as a frog in the well, you say, oh, where does that story come from? See, this is our ignorance. And in that, with our ignorance, we commit offence. And then we meet one day someone who's a real sadhu, but in our ignorance, we can't understand. And we commit a great offence and we end up in the bin with our letter, you know.
Heavy, huh? I wonder what happened with that devotee.
Oh, we came up with some other nonsensical philosophy. And look, if you may not know that story, that's fine, you know. Do some research and find it, you know. If it's not in this book, it can't exist. Well, sorry, but it does exist. It's in the Vishnu Purana, and go and have a look at the Vishnu Purana. And the detailed information about Parashuram, Lord Ram, and in the Vishnu Purana is enormous. Of course, Lord Ram is very detailed in the Ramayana, but Parashuram, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha,
Buddha?
Vaman, they're all in there.
Also Lord Buddha?
That I can't say. Because I haven't read it, it can't be there, right? I haven't read it, it can't be there, right? So in that way we become the frog in the well. And because we become the frog in the well, we become puffed up with our own importance, and one day, finished. So I think I'll finish here, 10 to 8. We've been going for about quite a while. Prabhu, are you going to read?
I don't know, maybe it's getting a bit late.
Okay, well, let's just see where we ended off. Yeah, it was humility personified. Even that fellow attacked Guru Maharaj about all that information, the greed of Lord Ram, the greed of Vishnu, the greed of Lord Nrsimhadev, the greed of the Lord. Fabulous lecture. And and Guru Maharaj just said, it's okay, just put the letter in the bin. Gurudev, shouldn't we answer it? He said, no, not necessary. So Guru Maharaj didn't want to fight. He wouldn't fight with anyone. Conditioned soul has to fight. If you read the introduction to the Sri Krishna Samhita by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, conditioned soul, the Kanishta and the lower Madhyam, they fight, kick, punch, yell, scream, character and assassinate each other up to the point of killing each other. It's nuts, right? Because of the difference of opinion. It's going on all over planet Earth right now. That's the Kanishta and the lower Madhyams. It may enter the lower Madhyam. May, it says. Definitely the Kanishtas. But Gurudev wasn't going to fight with anyone. It's in the never mind. It's in the Vishnu Purana. And he gets a little book out and there's the quote. It's very cute, Someone would ask, I remember Guru Maharaj asked someone, they said, Guru Maharaj, why don't we eat garlic and onions? It was 1993. It was nearly the end of Feb, beginning of March. Guru Maharaj calls his servant. Servant comes back with a little brown notebook. Guru Maharaj opens it up. And it says here, it describes why we don't eat garlic and onions. There was one Brahmin, and he had a wife. He's a very powerful Brahmin. And his wife said, I've heard meat has a very interesting taste.
Oh, wasn't she pregnant and she was pregnant and she had a desire to eat meat?
She was pregnant and desired to eat meat, yeah. So, so he did the yajna with the cow and he took one piece out. So as you know, when they did the yajna, the old cow would go in, the new cow would come out. The new cow came out and had like a hole, the skin was covered over, but there was a crevice where he'd taken out that meat. So there had to be some sinful reaction for that. So in the Linga Purana, I think it is, Gurudev said, that reaction is very powerful. He put that reaction, the blood and the flesh of the cow went into garlic and onion. Hence him and his wife were absolved from the sin. That's why we don't eat garlic and onions. But it was just in his little brown notebook. But he had everything. Any question, he had the answer. My point is that he had the answer to everything. So this letter, this fool wrote, is a fool, number one. He didn't have the proper understanding of the 360-degree pie graph of the understanding of the Siddhanta. He just had a part. And because the whole was not in that part, the whole could not exist because it's not in the part.
But because the garlic and onion was used to replace that piece of the cow, so we don't eat that, the onion and garlic, because we give honour to the cow by not eating that.
Yeah, and we give, as Pramananda Puri just said, Prabhu just said, we give honour to the cow by not eating it.
And what did the blood become? You said garlic?
Well, the flesh and the blood. One becomes garlic, one becomes onion.
But no, wasn't it the red dal? Red dal was the blood, and the carrot was the marrow, and the garlic was the bone, and the onion is the skin and the flesh. 4 things.
Right. Garlic, onion, carrot, red dal. Marrow, skin, flesh, blood of the cow. That's why we don't eat this. So anyway, Gurudev explained it all, but mainly he explained the garlic and the onion because we don't eat garlic and onions. My point is, but rather than getting too caught up in detail, is that he had everything in his books and in here and was speaking from a vast amount of information. And when they opened their mouth, these godbrothers, they weren't, no offence, so they wrote these letters. This fellow wrote this crazy letter that ended up in the bin because he had no understanding. became the frog in the well. So I'll end tonight here, and we'll carry on next Saturday. And next Saturday we'll do how we would roar on the Vyasa Sun and read people's minds. Dandavats everyone. Thanks for coming to the show. Krishna Devi Avacha, Padita Nama Benavi, Vaishnava Beyond the Lord Maha, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pastaya Bhutale, Semate Govinda Swami Niti Nama.